line, we've got none other than Steve Hamoon. Steve is here to talk about everything AI, podcasting, all the really fun stuff that he's doing right now in the space. Steve's a realtor, he's a mortgage broker, he's a brokerage owner, he's a podcast AI leader. He's really stepped into this space. I mean, I can throw probably 12 to 15 other acronyms behind your name, Steve. It's really
Mm.
incredible what you've done over the last little bit. And, I'm super excited to kind of A, hear about the journey again. You and I've done this a few times, but B, in the last year, there's just been this incredible change in what you've been doing, and you've really dove deep into the podcasting as well as the AI space. And just some of the stuff I'm hearing, I think, business owners everywhere really need to hear how the future of real estate, the future of all businesses, is just going to be dominated by AI, and it needs to kind of be at the center of everything that we do. So, without further ado, I know a number of people are jumping in. We're also live streaming on YouTube as well. If this recording doesn't work well for you, you want to watch it there. But we're looking forward to kind of picking this apart with you, Steve. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Andre. And first of all, I'd love to go back to the beginning and really talk about how I got here. And it was about 4 years ago. I just switched and joined into Keller Williams, and I just started to realize about the idea of not only looking at what I was doing in the mortgage and in the real estate space, from a professional perspective, but from a business building perspective. And I really started to think, and that's one thing that I love about KW is it really helps you start to think about your what you're doing, not only from the technical side, but from the operating a business side. And that was a huge shift that happened in my mindset. I always was really focused on the specifics of doing the work. So the first word that comes out of your mind when you start thinking about it is leverage. And leverage becomes so key. So first thing you do is go out and hire massive people, and you fail in recruiting, you fail in training, you fail in support, you fail in retention, you do all of these mistakes. And you say, well, how can I start doing it better? Well, systems and models are definitely a way to do that. And so what I found is I started building out these systems and models, but then trying to keep people in those systems and models became challenging
Right.
because the road keeps on, the world's changing so fast, and how do you keep up with it? That's where I insert AI into the vocabulary. And about 2 years ago, I really started to jump into this AI mindset of how can I use AI to support people, because one of the big things that happens, and I can tell you this right now, and it's probably on the everybody's mind, and I can see a bunch of people jumping into the room, is AI going to take over, right?
Well, I
And
think everybody's been fighting that for so long, right? Like, we've
yep,
heard we're all going to get replaced by robots and AI and this and that, and you start getting into like what 15, 20 years ago, Will Smith did iRobot, and that had everybody freaked out. And then now you're
yep.
seeing those humanoid type robots out there that are all being powered by AI. We have no idea what's going to happen, but you're at the front of this thing. What are you seeing?
Well, I firmly believe with I think it was the CEO or chairman or whatever of NVIDIA who said AI is not going to take over. People using AI will take over.
Right.
And that's my fundamental belief. And I think if you're not getting ahead of this curve and starting to integrate AI into the DNA of your business, you're really going to be left behind. And my goal today is to showcase a couple different tool sets and a couple of different ways of doing things, so that at the end of this session, you're going to be able to walk away with a skill that maybe you didn't have before, or at least a visibility of what's coming around the corner, so that you can really jump into it. Because as I said, when I started looking to the AI, now I've been able to take teams and accelerate so that each of the different businesses are able to function being enabled by AI, so I can do more things in a day. The whole goal is, I mean, we've got three different currencies that matter. We've got the currency that goes into our bank account. We've got the currency that goes into our calendar inside of our, Google Calendar. And then we have the currency of attention. Those are the three currencies I want to talk about today, and how AI can maximize that.
So are you seeing it like, I mean, we talk about models and systems, and one of the things that, one of my favorite models through the MREA has always been the organizational model. leverage, right? We started that as well. And so you're basically saying your AI or your version of AI that you're pushing through is borderline an employee of the business and creating leverage through every aspect of what you're doing within all your businesses.
Yeah, and I would be bold to say it's not borderline.
Ooh, okay. So it's integrated all the way through.
Yeah.
Now, I
So
mean, I think I'm doing okay with ChatGPT, but that's the kindergarten version of AI, if I'm hearing you right. And with some of our other conversations and why we wanted to have you on to mastermind with us today, was we were chatting and some of the stuff you were sort of saying, I was like, well, hang on, I'm getting really good at these prompts, and you were like, dude, that's you know basic version of AI.
Well, as you know, I love Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, what I really like about it is you are able to teach somebody a skill that they once thought that they kind of knew,
Right.
and then all of a sudden take them to this level that they never thought possible. And the same thing applies to AI, is sometimes you have to start at the basic fundamentals just to understand the mechanics of how it works. And then in knowing that, then you can use that as the building blocks to get to that next level of success. There is a pathway to skip all of that and just jump to warp speed, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Or throughout the session that we have today, but the idea is just getting that fundamentals. And first of all, I think the number one thing to address is what do people get wrong about AI, and that's what I want to hit off right off the bat. And when we look at AI, most people think of I'm going to go to my computer, I'm going to type into this, and I'm going to, I'm working with a piece of software. That's the wrong mentality. Because with a piece of software, you're thinking with the mindset that I'm going to program this software, and this software is going to give me a programmatic response. AI is very different. AI is a learning model, which means you have to teach, not program. And when you teach, it means that the answers that you get might be the answers that you want, but sometimes the student gets it wrong. Sometimes the teacher isn't the best teacher. And so we have to have a different relationship with AI than we would with a software program like QuickBooks.
Okay. So, I mean, deep dive a little bit on that for me. You said we're teaching it and we could get it wrong. Um, what does that mean? I mean, we know that AI is constantly learning. How might I mess that up?
So a lot of times what we do is we assume that the AI understands what we're telling it, where the AI is looking at the world and not looking at just the things that we've given it. So for example, if I want AI to create a little script about why, Andre is the best OP for a brokerages out there, and man, this guy's a rock star. I'm like, give me like a little 5-minute narrative about Andre. And then it starts talking about Andre down in California, who is, a really good real estate investor who works for, the office down there in Keller Williams, because maybe there's two Andres in the world. In my mind, Andre, there's only one.
Thank you.
But the idea, is it can hallucinate. And just like an employee, when an employee is given a job description, the employee might not follow it to the letter of the law.
Right.
AI is going to do the same thing.
I got you. So I mean, simply, and I'll give you an example. So one of the weirdest things that ever happened in real estate for me was a few years ago, we had a client with the exact same name who was also born in Jamaica, who was also part Asian, who was also all the same things. And neither of us believed it was true. Like I had to reach out to him direct and go, hey, like
That's
you're not
amazing.
funny, like cut it out. And he actually ended up being a real client. So that's somewhere that AI could maybe get it wrong, is as it's looking for information about me, it could potentially find my client and give misinformation.
Yeah, totally. And that's where it comes to prompting becomes really important. So whenever you hear the word AI, when we're teaching, the normal language that people use is the word prompt. And what I want to do is, if it's okay with you, Andre, I want to kind of walk through a couple different scenarios on how to prompt things to move things through the process. And as you said, like the crawl speed is just, let's just talk about just using ChatGPT in its basic form. Does that make sense as a nice little starting point and a
Yeah,
segue?
let's kick it off. Let's start showing people how to use this thing, because
Yeah,
I know
I
you've
was
got
like,
some really cool stuff with it as well. So I'm excited to see that as well.
I always like the idea of show don't tell, and that to me is why I love to just jump in and make things happen here. So, oh, by the way, just if anybody doesn't know, this is a shameless plug. I am the host of the Money Mindset Mentoring Podcast. You can find me on YouTube. We have about 23,000 subscribers. And I'm going to show you actually in this narrative on how you can get from 0 to 23,000 subscribers in a year. If that sounds something interesting to you, I would keep on paying attention to what we're doing, because it's not a matter of having to be the Alex Hormozi of the world. It's just having the actions of the Alex Hormozi in the world to make that stuff happen. And I have to thank Andre, by the way, for this. Because I wouldn't have started my podcast if it wasn't for Andre Chin. So kudos to you, man. You get people into action, and I think that's really important. So this would not have started if it wasn't for you.
I appreciate it. And you've grown it incredibly. And I mean, what am I seeing there? 2.5 thousand videos in a year,
Yep.
23K subscribers. And I know AI is powering that. Like, there's no way you're pushing that kind of content out.
Well, and that's where I wanted to jump into this is, so this is like some of the shorts and that sort of thing that we have. We have stuff where we cut shorts using AI to make things really super simple. We've got a software program that does that. We have fully synthetic podcasts. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And look, we're in our infancy. So this is where, this
June
is,
6, 2025,
I don't know if you guys can hear
10
that.
a.m. in partnership
Give me a
with
thumbs up if
Andre
you can hear
Chin
it.
and the Bigger Life Mastermind. We're unveiling how
So
to
there's me
create
just
attention
talking
on
about the
demand
mastermind here.
and retain
And so this is again using
motivating
AI. So
tools
AI can be
that
used to do a
almost
lot of
feel
things for video
unfair.
cutting, video
You
clipping,
see,
video
we're talking
editing,
about AI.
and all that
No,
jazz. So
not
we
the
know
soft
AI
like
comes in
mine,
many different
but the real
facets,
stuff,
and
the
that's
stuff
one
that
element
works,
that
the stuff that's
definitely, if you're
quietly
interested, let's talk
changing
about it.
everything.
If you're actually on the call right now, what I want you to do as well too, just so that we can make sure that we can get connected, is just send me a text, really simple, 647. This is another demonstration. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Send me a text at 647 503 5003. That's 647 503 5003. And I just want you to text that. So what's exciting is I can talk to all of you at the same time while we're doing the presentation here. Yet again, another use of AI in action. So when we look here, this is our basic fundamental ChatGPT. So anybody who goes in, you're going to go in and say like, I don't know, I need a recipe for I don't know, roast and ice cream, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You can start typing, and ChatGPT is going to give you a response. And so we've got a prep time, we've got all this stuff. So it really starts to spit out some answers. So ChatGPT can be very simple in that way of how you can use it. The other thing that you can do is you can be a little bit more specific. So you can be something where it's like, say for example, like this morning, and you can do this by the way on your phone. You can do this on your computer. But let's just say for example you're on your phone, and let's just say for example you have a problem with your dishwasher. So, for example, I had a problem with my dishwasher this morning where all I did is I went through, I grabbed a photo of the error code that was on my dishwasher, and then I load up that picture, and I say, what is this? And then it's going to spit out a whole thing about what that error code means, because it knows it's a Whirlpool dishwasher. Maybe I should have got an LG or a different brand, but it's got a 3-year warranty, so we're happy. But it gives me my error code. And then it'll say, here's some of the things you need to do. And then so I did those things, and then the problem went away. So very simply, you can load up an image to ChatGPT and solve the same problem. So this doesn't require any sort of extra things other than just using the OpenAI platform of ChatGPT to basically answer some of those questions.
So Steve, that's like our basic sort of, here we go. I can use it for anything. It's sort of replacing Google on the day-to-day. Where are we going next?
So what I want to do is I want to just convert that basic just into a basic next step would be, so if you're a real estate agent and you're going out and showing properties and you take a picture of the kitchen on your phone and you say, tell me about the appliances, it'll generally give you an age of the appliances, for example, in the kitchen if you don't know. If you're down in the furnace room and you're trying to understand, does this look okay? It'll give you some ideas around that. Now, sometimes again, it's going to hallucinate, and that can be a problem. So you need to still be that subject matter expert, but this is just like your co-pilot in life to help you along the way.
So you basically just fact check the information that it's giving you all the way through. And there's some cool stuff that I'm hearing some realtors do where I saw there's a realtor in our office that's doing, obviously the Phil Jones stuff. There's another realtor in our office that's using it to book out their showing schedule. So they'll take the list of properties and they'll say, "Hey, I've got to show 6 properties tonight. Here are the addresses. Give me the best route. Give me the neighborhood info. Give me where the coffee stops are along the way." They'll
Yep.
map everything out. It'll give them the map view, and they'll copy and paste that and send it to the client in an email, and it's all scheduled out for them. You seen some of that as well?
Oh, 100%. When you look at the idea of what is possible as a real estate agent, you can do even further to that, which is some of the things that we're going to show a little bit later on when you're looking at about really building your world around enabling it through AI. And I'm going to go to the next element here where, as we know, I do a podcast. And so whenever I do a podcast strategy session, so if somebody ever wants to be a guest on my show, I'm a big fan of Natalie Dawson from the 10X community. And she says random people doing random things produces random results. So when somebody comes as a guest on my podcast, I want to build out a strategy, but I want to be concise in how I do it. So here, for example, I'm going to build out a quick little strategy with Andre Chin. So I'm going to say Andre Chin is my guest from Keller Williams Research him, right? And then quickly what it's going to happen is I'm going to get a nice little profile that's going to be built out through Andre Chin. And what you're going to see is you're going to start to see a systematic approach to how AI is working here. And what this is called a GPT. This is not just an unprogrammed version of OpenAI, but this is a very strategically programmed version of OpenAI that I can create unique instances, but it's always going to look to this same framework of knowledge. So we can see here, I didn't know your middle name was Christopher. Is that correct?
That is correct.
There you go. I just learned something new about Andre. And then I go down here and I can see all these things. These are the things that he knows about. And then I'm going to say, look, I'm just going to say yes. So really, I've only used a couple different words right now to program this. So these are some of the things, because it knows Andre, it knows that these are the things he likes to talk about. The strategic real estate leader, or the architect of relationships and reputation, or the relentless operator. So let's just go with, I don't know, say set 2. And if I were talking with Andre and we were strategizing about this, obviously we would go into a lot more detail. And then so we go, these are the things that we're going to talk about. But because when I do a podcast, I believe there's 3 things that are really important. You need to be recent, you need to be relevant, you need to be consistent. Those are the ways that when we talk here about how did I win here, those are the 3 things that I did: recency, relevancy, and consistency. So when I'm creating this podcast, I want to look to see at some of these new things, for that are important for the rise of AI and decline of this. And I was like, these are topics that are relevant, recent, and people are searching for these. So I'm going to say, perfect. So now again, I've only used one word, and now I've moved here, and now we have this podcast being built out. So now I know, here's the questions I'm going to ask about Andre. You once said there's more to a home than 4 walls and a roof. What do you mean by that? And what do most agents miss in this entirely? Right? So I've gone through, AI's gone through, searched everywhere Andre's been, pulled out quotes from him so I can say. Now I'm going to check with Andre and see, has there been any hallucination around here? And then I go into it deep on this question. And then I go here and I go here. So I can go through it. I've got a podcast now that's ready to rock, and I'm ready to build out to release. And that took us all of about 4 minutes.
And you didn't have to think about any of that, did you?
Nothing. And then, oh, by the way, I'll say, sure. So now I have the email that I can send to Andre, and just copy and paste this email that goes off to Andre to say, here's what we're going to be talking about, without going into the specific details, but just a summary so we have a skeleton framework that we can follow. Does that look super simple? Is that something that would make things easier in somebody's business?
100%.
So what do you think, Andre, are some of the applications that somebody could use a GPT within the real estate environment?
Well, I mean, it opens up for team growth. It opens up for client growth. It opens up for strategic purchasing, let's say with an investor, if they're a high net worth investor that you've decided to work on. But
Mhm.
I don't know that there's a single application that it would be limited to. Like I'm thinking about some of our agents I know who just worked on like a really big farm deal. I know nothing about farm deals, but it sounds like this thing would be able to help me understand farm deals a little bit more, or commercial deals a little bit more, or just be able to have a general overview before I go get myself in trouble within the industry.
Absolutely. And that's where the GPT really does a great job. Now, what happens is you get to a point of threshold where sometimes, and I'm going to stop here because I know we look at when we're doing one of these sessions, and Andre, you've been in these sessions a couple times, and there's two obligations that happens in these sessions. The first obligation is us as the people providing the content, hopefully, will provide good content. And when I talk about good content, I mean actionable content.
Right.
There's an equal responsibility in the audience who's receiving that content is to actually do something with it. And so the problem that happens when you work with these GPTs and you say, here's what you can do to go out and build this GPT, it never gets built. It becomes one of those things that are like, that sounds super interesting.
Right.
I'm definitely going to get to that at some point. And again, you get to that situation where you just choose to continue to hustle, you choose to continue to ignore the movements that are happening, and then you get left behind.
So Steve, let's slow it down for a second. We've got Sharon in the chat, and Sharon's wondering if she missed the prompt to generate this specific strategy. But I think what got missed, Sharon, was you had outlined you've built this GPT already ahead of that.
Yeah.
So maybe there's that disconnect because I've heard that before, and truthfully, what does it mean to build a GPT?
Yeah, with building a GPT means you have to load up all the information sources that become its source of truth. You create a knowledge base, and by creating a knowledge base, you're uploading files, you're uploading links, you're uploading all these different things to make sure that it's going to be something that's going to be effective that it can use. And
So
the
where do I
reason,
go to do that? Is that just in chat? Is there
yeah,
do you
so in
say you have
opening,
to pay for it? Is that what
yeah,
I'm
you got to
hearing?
pay for it and log in and that sort of thing.
Right.
And then you've got to figure out how to use the back engine to kind of create all those links. What I don't want to do is to get into the mechanics
Right.
of necessarily that, because there's actually a warp speed version that I kind of want to show you a little bit, especially from a brokerage standpoint or
Got it.
from a team standpoint, because I know, Andre, you surround yourself with a lot of massively successful people. And with those people, they want to create leverage, and they want to create leverage for the benefit of the people who are in their ecosystem, their teams. So what we're seeing right now is a lot of brokerages are saying, look, we could either show you how to build out these GPTs, or we could just build them for you in a way that is something that's congruent with our brokerage brand strategy. So that when you're looking at recruiting and you're saying, hey, do you want to come join our brokerage? You already have them pre-built, so somebody doesn't have to do that. That's the joys of something like this. It's already been built, so you don't have to do it. And so we definitely have courses and that sort of thing to teach people how to do it. But in the time frame of what we've got and a half hour left, I don't think we'd have the time to be able to show something like that specifically.
Sounds like a masterclass that'll end up on your YouTube channel within the next, I'd say, 2 weeks.
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah, the when we look at it, the thing is AI is changing so fast. And what I was not able to do a month ago, I'm able to do today. And what I'm able to do next week, I won't be able to do, a month from now, but then I can do that. So it's just going to keep on constantly, like the speed at which it changes is totally different than any other market.
Got it. Got it. Got it. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah. So what I want to show is the next element is, say, for example, here, I'm going to show this one here. So a lot of times what we find is we have little things like little chat bots here. So I'm going to say Steve at stevemoon.com, right? And I'm going to be chatting back and forth here. And this is like your normal little chat bot that happens. So you can integrate AI into chat bots that can be pre-prompted based on those same knowledge bases that we've talked about. The challenge is when you build it out just in GPT, it's only available in that one style of interface. But this one here is 503. This one here is an interface that allows you to be able to speak in different ways through the same knowledge base. So I can communicate through my phone number, the one that I gave you guys out, the 647-503-5003 number that you can use. Again, that's 647-503-5003. Text it, call it, do all that stuff. It's great. And so here we can go through and ask a lot of questions. This is a way that a lot of people are used to doing it. But there's another way of doing that as well. And I'm going to show you that here. So imagine this right now. Do we think that the education system is something that is a little bit broken right now? Would you guys agree with that?
I think we can all probably agree with that.
You know, we have a person sitting in front of a class pontificating, and as they're pontificating, you have 30, or in this case, you've got, a bunch of people online in different formats listening to the content, but maybe they also want to interface with the content. They want to be able to have connections and conversations. Like the question that was asked earlier, how do I build out that GPT? Well, we actually have a program that you just go in, you log in, you can ask the questions until your GPT has been built out. So it actually answers all the questions for you. Because normally what happens is you go to one of these things where it has like some video where the person's talking. It might have some little quiz. It might have some little workbook that you have. And then when you're in that class of 30 people, the one person who raises their hand and asks that question actually gets an answer and everybody else doesn't. So what we want to do is democratize the way that education has been given on a one-to-one basis using AI. So imagine this. You're going through, you've built out your team, and you want to have scripting happen every morning. We all know scripting is something that's difficult because it isn't necessarily about you. It's about your scripting partner that can be the challenge. So maybe they're not providing you the right scenarios. Maybe they're not taking it seriously. Maybe they don't know the content as well as you want them to. So here's a scripting scenario where that can actually work. And so I'm just going to press this. And just give me a thumbs up if you can hear it there, Andre, so I know that it's working.
Yep. I think it's just loading.
Yep.
Hi, ready to train. I'm Robert from Keller Williams
It's
Complete
talking
Realty.
here.
Great.
Oh, hey, it's Steve.
Hi, Steve. Nice to meet you. Are you the agent, buyer, or seller today?
I'll be the agent.
Got it, Steve. Are you working with a buyer, seller, or another agent in this scenario?
I'll be working with a seller.
Perfect. On a scale of 1 to 10, how challenging do you want this scenario to be?
15.
All right, Steve, we'll aim for a tough challenge. Is there a specific scenario you'd like to role play, like a listing presentation, handling objections, or negotiating offers?
Like a listing presentation. And the listing presentation's with like a divorcing couple. One wants to stay in the home, one wants to leave. They're having a hard time negotiating their child support because that's going to make it really hard for the other person to buy.
Uh-huh.
It's Bob and Sally.
Got it, Steve. A listing presentation with Bob and Sally, a divorcing couple, one wants to stay, one wants to sell, and child support negotiations are complicating things. This will be a challenging one, but I'm ready. Let's begin. Hi, Bob. Hi, Sally. Thank you both.
Oh no, I'm
for
going to
meeting.
be the agent. You're going to be Bob and Sally.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying, Steve. You'll play Bob and Sally, and you'll be the agent. Let me know when you're ready to start, and I'll jump into character.
So I'm not a very good agent, so I'm going to take a different tack. So, hey Bob, hey Sally.
Yeah. Hi there. This is Bob. I'm Sally. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I think you guys should sell your house. I know your relationship really fell apart because, man, Bob, you always left the toilet seat up. That was a really bad idea, and that's why you're probably getting divorced. So let's get your house sold right now. Let's go.
Wow. That's not really why we're here. Yeah, that was a bit harsh. We're here to figure out what's best for both of us, not to rehash our issues. Steve, I'd give that approach an F. It's important to stay neutral and professional, especially in sensitive situations like this. Let's try again with a...
So what we can see here is obviously a little bit of fun with that one, but the idea is that everybody can have a role play session with somebody who's very qualified in the back end and going to be able to coach you through that process to say, how can you figure this out? So think about some of the use applications is obviously be, scripting role play for listings, buyers, working with other agents when, they give you a call to say, what's your seller's best price? We always get those calls. So those are scenarios. Or it could be things around how do I get my onboarding process on so people know how to log into command, or people know how to, the broker support line and how to handle that, so that when people call in, that they're getting an answer right away, because people are busy, and this takes a lot of that leverage and puts it onto the AI. And as long as you program it in a way, and again, just like an employee, as long as you monitor it and ensure that it's compliant with what you want it to teach, because you get all those scripts and you can be able to do the analyzing around that. That's a different way of applying AI through a portal that people don't have to log into ChatGPT, people don't have to program, people can just put that into action and get going.
Now, Steve, I think what's cool about that is, a lot of times with teams, you've got to schedule in the scripting time, you've got to schedule in when it's going to be done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This allows the platform to be there that, you could come out of an appointment, didn't get the appointment, you're struggling what you could have done better, you jump on and script, and then find out where your gap was immediately in the car on the way home.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times if you're doing it remote, something like this, you can take the transcript and do an analysis on the transcript to see how you did, and then go back and script it to get it done correctly. So there's a lot of different ways of how you can handle it. If it's in person, you can make sure you take good copious notes and then talk about what those problems would have been. You can have it ask you, like, here's the notes you need to take in the meeting to make sure that you're going to have a really good download on the end to make sure that it's been a productive analysis. Because whether we win or lose the listing presentation, if we can gather data, we're always winning.
Where are you finding the limitations show up outside of the fact checking and sort of, sometimes it just goes rogue on you? Any other limitations you're seeing show up yet for AI as it's evolving?
I think one of the most important things that when people integrate with ChatGPT or any sort of AI toolkit that's out there, or like something like this, like if you guys call my number, that 647-503-5003 number, you're going to get an AI that's going to answer the phone for me.
Right.
Now, some people, what they'll do is disingenuously make it their voice and try to pretend like it's them. This is where the limitation is. And I think it's a good one, because I think people don't want to feel bamboozled. You want to be authentic with your clients, and don't be disingenuous. Be genuine and say, hey, my AI is called Ellie. So it's Ellie AI. I'm here to help you. And so people know that they're talking with AI. So if they know that they're talking with an AI agent, they're going to operate in a way that they're going to give it latitudes. So when AI does things like shmish, mesh, nivish, nash, when it tries to say something, or when the voice goes up and down and it doesn't sound like a person, when it does some of those hallucinations in the way that it presents, you're going to give it a hall pass, because you know that the intention of just giving you the answers is there.
Right. I got you. Cool. What else are we seeing? What else are you doing?
So what we find is that big applications that people are using AI in are things such as, again, team building. So that's coaching, onboarding, recruiting. We find that a lot of it we use in content creation, because we talked about 3 different currencies. The first currency being obviously the one that goes in your bank account. The second one being the one that goes into your calendar. We can see very clearly how quickly this can save that in that second one on the time currency, because imagine that you don't have to answer 80% or 90% of those calls. Imagine that if somebody calls you and they can just schedule time with you using your AI agent. Imagine that you can just get a listing up, super fast, because you've got everything scripted in the way that it's able to produce the listing description and all the stuff in the way you like to see things. Right. So the time one is the last one. The last one I really want to talk about is the attention one. And I think attention is extremely important. And so if you're on the call right now, I highly suggest you take a look. If you're on your computer, that'd be great. If you just grab your phone. If not, you can just listen and just kind of follow along. So if you could grab your phone and you could try this is a really cool thing to kind of do. So I'm going to go into what's called an incognito tab. So these are the tabs that we go to when we're searching in a way that we want to have privacy in the way that we search. And so this is not going to look at any of the cookies that I have. This is going to be me as a blind version of me. Obviously, you and your phone, you're not going to have to do that, because you probably haven't done a search like this before. Maybe you have. We don't know. So if I were going to tell you that I could use AI to get to number 1 on Google, would that be something that would be useful?
Sure, I think so.
Yeah. So, and the way we're going to test this is I want you to be able to grab your phone, lift it up, go into Google and start searching, what I'm about to tell you. So I own a couple different businesses. One of the businesses I own is a real estate, a mortgage business rather. It's a mortgage brokerage called Real Approved, shameless plug. And what it does is we service mortgages across Ontario and Canada, but we really are focused on Ontario right now. So, and I have a podcast, and my whole goal was to be the number one podcast when you search on Google, so that we can come up into that. So, if I just go, for example, like mortgage podcast in Ontario, that sounds like a pretty basic search that somebody might search.
Yep.
And I'm going to click here. What we can see here is that in Google, the first thing that comes up to Google is that Gemini search that's at the top. That's where you want to be, because if you're in Gemini, that means you're in the AI, which means that the AI knows about you. And we see right here is there's several podcasts. It talks about CMHC. Then it talks about this one, the Ontario Mortgage and Real Estate Inside Podcast. It's right in the top.
Steve, any way you can make that bigger? It's a little hard
Oh,
to
yeah,
see.
man.
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, so it says it's the mortgage podcast in Ontario. We're in a incognito search, and we see right in the Gemini search. I'm right up here in the top here in the Gemini search. I'm also out in the breakout on the side here, twice in the breakout on the side there, and then I'm number one, then I'm number two, and then there's other people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and I'm like number 7. So we say I kind of dominated that search. Would you agree with that?
I would think so. What was the search term again?
Mortgage podcast in Ontario.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I might do something like this. So what about like a commercial real estate podcast? Would that be something that somebody might look up?
Potentially, yeah. If you wanted
Yeah.
to learn about commercial real estate.
Yeah, so if you're looking about commercial real estate, then we'd search this here, and we can see we scroll down. Now, I'm not number one on this one. I'm on first page. This one we just started a couple months ago, so it's taken about 2 months to get to page 1. So that's pretty good, right? So that's 2 instances of being on page 1 with less than this one's less than 2 months. The other one's probably like 6 months to come up to number 1.
Got it.
So that's using AI. So when I say it's using AI, because one of the things that I believe is leverage is extremely important. And so I know that in order to be number 1 in Google, you need to win on recency, relevancy, and consistency. Those are the 3 things. So recency, you need to be talking about things that are happening today, not yesterday, not 2 days ago, 3 days ago, because the world's changing every day and we got the attention of a gnat. So it needs to be recent, relevant. It needs to be about the things that people who want to be learning about whatever you're talking about, it's got to be relevant to what they're going to be searching. And then consistency, it's got to be going out on a frequent basis. So you become that knowledge center. And so when we look at here and we look at this podcast is we release this podcast every single day. So this is a podcast. Actually, I'll go to the Spotify version as well. We'll pull up Spotify here. So this podcast is released every single day. So we go out and we do a search of everything that's the most important things that people are searching. And then we write a script about it. And this one, it's a back and forth between me and Janine in the brokerage where we talk about different things. And it's about a 10-minute, this one's like 9 minutes, 14 minutes, kind of an episode as it goes along. And so we just chat. So it's like something like this. Let me know if you can.
Welcome to the Ontario Mortgage and Real Estate Insights
hear it?
podcast.
Yep.
Your go-to source for the latest developments, trends,
for borrowing costs to come down. The bank statement included survey data showing that consumers
So this is a
expect
great little
prices
podcast.
to
So
keep
we
rising.
talk about things that, and I
and
like
businesses
listening
are
to it
planning to
actually
raise
because
their
it gives me
prices too.
really good recent and relevant
This
data.
all indicates that we
And
might
so I
not
actually
see rate cuts
listen-
in
I
the
gotta
near
ask,
future,
Steve, is
which
that
could
is that
prolong the
AI?
challenges many
That's the best part. So when we look at the leverage that we get out of this, most people, when you look at this, creating a podcast on a daily basis, doing all those searches, it's probably going to take you, if you're doing it manually, maybe a half hour to an hour to do all of that. This podcast takes me 0 minutes every day. 0. I have 100% leverage on this podcast. We go out, the AI goes out and searches for the content. The AI writes the transcript. The AI then creates the voices reading the transcript, between Janine and I, having a back and forth. Then it releases and pushes it out to the Apple, the Spotify, the iTunes, and whatever, all that stuff that's out there. And it's done. And it puts it on the web page that we saw earlier.
Wow.
So 100% leverage using AI. This is the world we're living in. This is why I say AI is not going to take your job. A person using AI will.
That's the mic drop of the day right there. All right, Steve, we're right at that time that, we like to open it up, questions, hearing some of that stuff. Is there anything else you wanted to share? Like I'm probably feeling like most people are slightly overwhelmed, not sure where to start or where to go with it from here. So I'm gonna take a deep breath, but what are we anything else that we missed? And then we'll open it up to some questions, that sort of stuff.
There's so many things that we could chat about, and the way to get rid of the feeling of overwhelmed is, I think one of the things that you do an amazing job is you bring people into your ecosystem in the thing like the Bigger Life Mastermind, who can mastermind with you to help you get to the things that you needed to know.
Yeah,
So for example, you could be the person who says, I want leverage. So instead of like, AI is not going to take my job, somebody using AI is going to take my job. So I'll put one layer above that is, I'm going to use somebody who's using somebody who knows about the AI. So you bring those people into your ecosystem, bring them into your world, and get the leverage that way.
Is there any industry that you believe will not have AI at its center?
It's so funny because Mark Zuckerberg right now is doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so he talked on the Joe Rogan podcast about AI robots competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't think that there's any industry that won't be touched by AI.
Wow. We had a question coming up from Leslie. I'm just going to show it on the screen here. Hi, Steve. I missed what prompt you used to generate the script partner.
So the script partner one is actually a proprietary release that we sell as a product to brokerages or to teams to be able to give them leverage. There's other ways that you can do it just directly inside of ChatGPT. You just don't get the same sort of scale in the way that you can do it when you go to the warp speed version. So all you would do is in ChatGPT is write that script in ChatGPT saying, hey, I want you to be this. Hey, I want you to do this, and be pretty simple about it, and then just test it.
What's your best contact info on some of this stuff? Like, where do people go to find some of this leverage, find some of this tech? Do they come to you direct? Like, what would you prefer?
Yeah, just text me text me or call me at 647-503-5003. And the great thing is if you call that, you can test what the AI does. How does it sound? How does it work? How could you use this? Because we all use AI right now. Like, I don't know if you know this, but we all use AI when, if I call you and your cell phone answers as a voicemail, that's just a clunky version of AI. And so because it just leaves a voicemail and maybe it sends a system. It's what's called a bot, which basically is just a programmatic response, not a natural language learning model.
Right.
So, the AI that I've got for my phone is when you call me, the AI picks up if I can't. So right now, any of you call me right now, my AI is going to pick up and you can book appointment in my calendar just directly with the AI.
Amazing.
And if you say the Bigger Life Mastermind, it's going to know things about like what we talked about today.
Slightly creepy, but we're getting there.
Well, it's no more creepily than having John or Sally as a VA or as an admin answering the phone
Right.
for you. They're more efficient, more effective. They work 24/7, and they never forget anything. And you can change them on a moment as into their learning models.
Got it. What else do we want to know, folks? Steve, that was super, super helpful.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that, there's so many directions that you can go with AI, it's almost overwhelming. So how do we slow that down to a step-by-step process that we can kind of work through?
That's a great question. I'd say the first thing is just start playing with ChatGPT. Like, we've had a friend of mine, also named Susan, has been using ChatGPT to just start creating some scripts for her commercial real estate business. And so she creates these little scripts. She created content for a whole year so that she can release out a video for the whole year. So something as simple like that is a very simple model just to start to get used to the fact of using it. That's a wonderful way to get to use it. And she's having a massive success with it. She's doing a great job because she's getting into action. And so I think that one right there is a great first step. The second step is if you have a bigger team or if you have bigger aspirations, is get working with somebody like myself or somebody you feel confident with that can help you get past the goal line, that you can implement bigger and greater systems and models that you can scale across your organization.
Yeah, so it's funny that that was one of the prompts that I used. It came from a different source, but it was simply that. It was, give me 365 days of content that I could record that are specific to real estate agents looking to grow their business, yada yada yada. And I kind of scripted it all out, and then it gave me all 365, and then I just said, hey. Can you just break this down by week and tell me every week what I should be talking about?
Yep.
And that chat still sits in my chat, and I just go into that every week and I go, okay, give me this week's, and it goes through the list and it finds the one that wants me to talk about and it kind of spits it out.
Yep.
And then you can go deeper on it and ask it for the script and the this and the that, to really start building out your content, taking that sort of guesswork out of what you should be talking about. So team owners, business owners can all leverage that.
And the more that you teach it, the better it's going to perform and the better it's going to speak in your brand voice. And we have technology that allows you to create your own brand voice and stuff so that you don't have to try to figure it out. But the idea is that the first thing that you do is if you're in ChatGPT, and I'm going to give you some very simple tips on ChatGPT, you have to tell it who it is. Because if you don't tell it who it is, it's just going to kind of behave in the way that it thinks it's supposed to. And then you have to confirm that it knows who it is. So it's like, you're an accountant. Here's my spreadsheet of all my expenses, all of my income, all of everything from my visas, my MasterCards and everything. I put it into an Excel spreadsheet, load it up, and I can say, go do something. Or what I could do is I could say, you're an Ontario-based accountant who knows QuickBooks and tax law and is very keen and aware of bookkeeping. Please confirm who you are. And it comes back and says who it is. You say, great. I'm going to upload you a document. And when I upload that document, I want you to confirm that you understand the document. And then it confirms. And then you say, then you ask the next step is, give me a profit and loss from those statements. Does this business look healthy? If you were running this business, what's the 3 things you would do differently from an accounting perspective?
Right.
That's a good use case.
So sounds very conversational. Sounds like, stop treating it like a robot, even though it is, and engage in that two-way conversation with chat or whatever the AI is. Because there's a ton. There's Gronk, there's Chat, there's Jasper, there's Gemini. There's like on and on the list goes. Pick one. Start learning with it. I mean, you could probably even ask it, what am I not asking you that I should be asking you?
Yeah,
It would tell you.
100%. That is one of the best questions to ask. Is like, there's something that seems to be missing. What am I missing?
Right. And it'll give you that information.
It'll start throwing it out. 100%.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Steve, so we know how to get a hold of you. We know what you're doing. I think if I'm gonna be clear for everyone listening, this was maybe, we talk about the tip of the iceberg and nobody sees below the water. This is that tip of the iceberg moment that you gave us 5, maybe 10% of what we're seeing. And there's this massive undertow, that's this wave of AI that's coming that most people aren't even in the arena yet. And it's time to start looking at AI, to start incorporating it into your businesses, because your line is, you're not going to lose to AI. You're going to lose to someone using AI at a really high level.
Absolutely. And you're going to lose either in market share, you're going to lose in recruiting, you're going to lose in retention, you're going to lose in all of these elements if AI is not underpinning it. Because most people getting in, this is the number one thing that they're thinking about. Last year was the year of the podcast, and so this year too, because I think democratization of information is important. But the idea is that if you're not demonstrating that you're being successful with AI, you're gonna lose people on your team because they're going to go somewhere where they're going to get better leverage.
Yeah, love it. Awesome. Well, guys, if we have no more questions, Steve, that was an incredible demonstration. Thank you for kind of getting tactical with us. That doesn't always happen in this space. I think there's a massive amount of learning that just happened. This will be on YouTube for everyone who's wanting to go back and watch it as well. So you'll have the ability to go back, slow it down, take some more notes, watch it again. You've got Steve's cell phone that's direct, powered by his AI, that you can reach out to as well. That'll take care of some of that stuff. It's
And
going to make it
if we were
really
going to
hard for him.
offer, yeah, if we're going to offer one other thing, do you think that'd be kind of fun to do?
I think that'd be awesome. Let's go.
So what if we had a landing page that you guys could go to, that you could sign up into, you could talk to the AI, and we'll give you all the answers based on what we just talked about. Would
There
that
you
be
go.
something that would be valuable for everybody?
I think so. Let's drop that in the chat.
Yeah. So what I'll do is text my AI and ask for that, and then we'll get that sent out to you. So
Yeah.
it's 647-503-5003. And then Andre, if you wanted to pop it out to on an email as well, we could certainly do something like that too.
What's the prompt? What are we asking for?
Just say I was at the Bigger Life podcast and I want to receive that. We'll have that ready for you, because obviously we need the transcript from today to give it to them, and then they'll know exactly what we need to talk about.
So I was at the
It'll
Bigger
be ready.
Life
It'll be ready
Mastermind.
for anybody by this afternoon.
Give me the landing page.
Yeah,
Got
you
it.
can see how fast it'll be developed.
Got it. Got it. All right. We're going to drop that in the chat so everyone has it. And we'll get that on the stream so people can see it. Amazing. Steve, I want to thank you. Today was incredible. You're doing some creative stuff, some innovative stuff. I love that you're at the forefront of this. And I love that we all have access to this. For those of you in Keller Williams, this is the collaboration that's happening all the time. And Steve's willing to share this with anyone. So reach out.
Do you
text
know
that
why I'm
number.
willing to share? Because that's the culture that opened me up to do this stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great episode of the Bigger Life Mastermind. Love that you are all here, and we look forward to our next one as well. Steve, you can find him on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, but he did the really easy thing and he gave you a cell phone. So reach out to him direct if you have any questions, anything you want to learn more about. And it's been such an incredible, incredible day of learning, even for me. Thank you so much, Steve. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks at the next Mastermind.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Andre. We really appreciate you, and thank you everybody for joining us today.
Amazing.